really intense lesson today actually, so I need you guys to pay attention. So this is question number 13. Which quadratic function when graphed has x-intercepts of -3 and 9? Now the most important thing that you have to remember in this is the word x-intercept. So what is another word for x-intercept, guys? Well, that would be solution or roots. Okay? So in other words, the question is asking, if your answer is -3 or 9, what would be your question? Now on the actual test, there's going to be like 4 options. Over here we only have 3 because the fourth one really was not that important. So let's think about this. Usually they will give you a problem like this, options A, B, and C, and then ask you to get to the answer. But in this situation, it is exactly the opposite. Okay? So let me just tell you right now, to begin with, in your opinion, just looking at this, what do you think is the correct answer? Do you think it's A, B, or C? Yes.
I think it's B, Miss Choi.
Okay, so yeah, I want you to know right now that the correct answer is not B. Okay? And it's not C. The correct answer is A. And now that I told you what the correct answer is, now I want to explain to you why A is correct, okay? So, there you go. Since your answer is -3 and 9, how did you get to the answer? First, you factor trinomials, right? And then you make it look like that. And then what do? So, let me just rewrite it here. Y is equal to 3x plus 9 times 2x minus 18. Right? And by definition, x-intercept means what? Y is equal to 0. So what I'm going to do is, instead of y, I'm going to go ahead and put 0. So, what that means is, this times that is 0. So I don't know if you remember this, but any number multiplied by a 0 is equal to a 0. What that means is that either this could be 0 or that could be 0, right? So then you're going to have 3x plus 9, and that's going to equal 0, or 2x minus 18, and that's going to equal 0. Now, I don't know if you remember yesterday's test, but it kind of sort of looked like this, just this bottom part, didn't it? Okay? So what we have to do right now is just go ahead and find out what x is equal to. So we need to isolate the x. So looking at the x, we have 3 and 9. So what do you think we need to get rid of first, the 3 or the 9? The 9, because just remember, you have to always handle addition or subtraction first, and then multiplication or division. Okay? So since we have a plus 9, what will be the inverse of addition, guys? Ready? Go. Good job. So we have to subtract 9 from both sides of the equal sign. So then now we have 3x is equal to -9. Okay? And then again, we need to still leave the x by itself. So then we need to get rid of the 3. So what's the relationship between the 3 and the x? It's multiplication. So yes, you have to find the inverse, which is division. Good job. And yes, you guys are absolutely right. Your answer is going to be x equals -3. Which proves that that is the correct answer. Okay? And in the same way, on the right-hand side, what you're going to do is you want to leave the x by itself. You got 2 and -18, right? And like I said, you always want to handle addition or subtraction first. Okay? It's like the opposite of PEMDAS. So you add 18 to both sides, and now you have 2x is equal to 18. And you still want to isolate the x, so the way you get rid of the 2 is by division. Good job. So then now x is equal to 9. So you see how I got the answer, -3 and 9? Well, those are the answers that they had for you in the question, right? So this question gives you the answer and tells you to find the correct equation. The only way you can do that is if you say that both parentheses are equal to 0, and then just solve it. And if you get -3 and 9, then you know that that's the correct answer. So then what I want you to do now is I want you to go ahead and solve B and C and see what kind of answer you get. So you know that the answer is not -3 and 9. Okay? Ready? Go. Okay, so we got the answers for number 13. And what I want you to do next, I want you to go ahead and try and come up with the answer for 13B. So, which is, maybe I should do this. Uh-oh. Hush, babies. There you go. Which quadratic function, when graphed, has x-intercepts of -4 and 8? So right here, what you gotta do is you gotta do the opposite. It's the exact same question as question number 13, but what did I do for 13? I went ahead and gave you multiple choice options A, B, and C. Number 13B, you have to create your own question. Okay? All right, ready? Go. Okay, so now let's take a look at question number 14 and 14B. Okay, so these are really easy and you already know how to do it. I'm going to go over number 14 really fast. Okay, and then I want you to look at 14B on your own. Okay, so let me go ahead and just highlight this so you know that this is what I'm going to be doing with you. What happened?
That was a very nice highlight.
It's beautiful.
Oh, are you making fun of me? Okay. All right. So, ready? Go. Okay, so now let's take a look at question number 14. You little rascals. I still love you so much. Okay, so there you go. What are the solutions for the quadratic equation? Oh, and guys, let me write the equation again really big so you can see. It's z squared minus 18z plus 77 equals 0. And then I'm just gonna go over this fast. Yes, it is right there. Okay, so then you have to use the x method. So I start out by drawing the big X. And then what number do you think I'm going to get on top?
182.
No, I'm going to put 77 on top because it's going to be 1 times 77 on top. And what number am I going to put at the bottom? Oh.
182.
That's a Z, silly. So, yeah, not 18.
18.
Don't forget the symbol. Yes, negative 18. So then now we gotta find factors of 77. Okay? So then 77 is 1 times 77, 2, 3, 4 doesn't work. And so we have to go straight to 7 times 11 is 77.
Can we drink water again?
Okay, so now you just have to remember, when you multiply the two numbers, you get a positive number. And when you add them together, you get a negative number. You know what that tells me? My two numbers have to be negative. Because when you multiply two negative numbers, you get a positive answer. But when you add two negative numbers, you add them together and then you keep the symbol. So knowing this, which two numbers do you think we're going to use? Negative 1 and negative 77 or negative 7 and negative 11? Good job. So that's what I'm going to put because when you add these two together, I'll be able to get negative 18. Okay? So let me go ahead and write my answer. And I always try and write my answer in a different color because a lot of people get confused. Okay? So now after this, what we have to do is put this in fraction form. Okay? What number do you think goes on top?
The AC unit.
The 1. And then what number goes at the bottom?
Oh, the one that you used.
Negative 7.
Good job. Negative 7 and what else?
Negative 11.
Negative 11, okay? A lot of students get confused over here. They put like 77 and negative 7 or 77 and negative 18. That's why I changed the colors and used red. You're putting the red, the answers that you just came up with. Can you simplify these fractions?
No.
No, so we're going to go ahead and just put them in parentheses. Now we have two parentheses and that equals 0. What letter are we playing with here?
Z.
Z, so we're going to put Z.
Minus 7.
So it's Z minus 7 and Z minus 11. Are we done?
No.
No, because it says what are the solutions and that means you got to find out what X is equal to. Okay, so let me go ahead and just erase this part so you can see. So I'm going to say z minus 7 is equal to 0 and z minus 11 is equal to 0. Okay? So if I want to leave the z all by itself, what do I have to do to both sides?
You have to add.
Yes, the opposite of subtraction or the inverse of subtraction is addition. So z is now equal to 7. And over here, what am I supposed to do? Yes, I'm supposed to add 11 to both sides. And so now z is going to equal 11. So then the correct answer that I have to select, and in this question, they just say 7 and 11. And you would have to select that one. Okay? So now, I want you to go ahead and solve 14b and give me the answer. We gotta move on, so I highly recommend that you work at it as fast as you can. Ready? Go.
Which one?
14b. Okay, so now that we are done with number 14, I want you to go ahead and copy question number 15. Okay? The really important thing about question number 15 is that you did it. Yeah, you did it you learned it in middle school. Okay? And so you're supposed to know it, but you know how it is, right? People forget stuff all the time. So I'm going to try my best to quickly remind you. Okay? And we're going to use the box method. Okay? Alright, so I know that you guys are done copying.
Are you recording?
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and take a look. So there you go. Which of the following polynomials is prime and cannot be factored? So this is really important. Prime cannot be factored. Prime and cannot be factored means you cannot factor it, right? So basically, one of these four would be the correct answer, and you gotta factor them. And if you cannot factor them, then it's going to be wrong. So then, does anybody remember how to factor these type of things? If you notice, all the numbers are the same. xy, 15x, 4y, 60. The only thing that's different are the symbols. Some of them are positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, positive, negative, negative, positive, negative, negative, negative. Oops, positive, positive, negative, negative, right? Okay, and then one of the option is D. None of these polynomials can be factored, and sometimes automatically you think the answer is D, right? But usually it's just a trick, so make sure you really know how to do this. So let me try and remind you what you learned in middle school when you learned to factor this, okay? Let me start out by first telling you that the answer is C. C cannot be factored, okay? But now that I have already told you the answer, I want to teach you or remind you how to factor something like this, because A and B can be factored, right? So there you go. Let's go ahead and copy the first equation. And this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to write xy. And then I'm going to write negative 15x. And then below, I'm going to put positive 4y. And then I'm going to put negative 60 right here. Okay? And I don't know if you remember the box method, but that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go ahead and draw lines between them and create a box. So if you remember, at the beginning of the semester, I showed you how to multiply stuff, right? And it's the same thing, but you're going backwards. Over here, this is the answer, and now you gotta figure out what numbers you have to put over here on the outside. So this is how you do it. I'm looking over here. I'm standing right here, okay? So then I have to look downwards. I have xy and 4y. What do I have in common, guys?
Y.
Yeah, I have y in common. So I circle that and then I put that here. Now I'm standing right here and I'm looking down at negative 15x and negative 60. What do you think I have in common?
The negative.
The negative. And what else do I have in common?
15.
The 15. Now, 15 is correct, but do you know why it is 15? Yes, because there you go. This negative 15 and negative 15x is very obvious, but negative 60 is the same as what? Negative 60 is the same as negative 15 times 4, right? So what I'm doing is I'm finding the GCF. Okay, so I got y minus 5 on top. Now I'm going to come down here to the side. And I'm going to look at xy and negative 15x. What do I see in common? The x. Now down here, I'm standing here, I'm looking sideways. I have 4y and negative 60, which is the same as negative 15 times 4. What do I have in common?
4.
The 4. Okay, so then now we are done. What is my factored form? It's going to be x plus 4 times y minus 15. And so how can you check if this is the correct answer or not? Well, multiply it back. X times y is xy. X times negative 15 is negative 15x. 4 times y is 4y. And 4 times negative 15 is negative 60. That's how you know. Okay? So, did you just factor this? The first equation right here? Yeah. So, is that the answer? No, because the question said, which one cannot be factored? And I already gave you the answer. The answer is C, right? So then now I want you to try and factor B, okay? I'm going to show you how to do B because it's exactly the same number, just different symbols, okay? So let me go ahead and start right here, okay? I'm going to go ahead and write xy. And then this one is plus 15x. And then I have negative 4y. And then I have negative 60. And so again, I gotta draw my box. And then now I'm standing up here. And I'm looking down at xy and negative 4y. What do I have in common?
The Y.
Yes, good job. So you guys remember from middle school now, yes? Yay! So I'm going to put the y on top. Now I'm standing up here looking down at 15x and negative 60. What do I see in common?
15.
15, okay? So let's put 15. Because here's 15 is kind of obvious. And then over here, negative 60 is the same as 15 times
4.
negative 4. Don't forget the negative, okay? All right. So then now I'm standing here. I'm looking at xy and 15x. What do I see in common?
X.
X. I'm standing here. What do I see in common? I have negative 4y and
Negative 4.
good job. It's kind of very obvious, right? So the answer for the second equation right here, B, is going to be x minus 4 times y plus 15. And so did I just factor this?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we know that B is also wrong. However, C, you can try factoring it, but it won't work. Okay? So therefore your answer is C. Do you guys want me to show you, do you want me to try and factor C so you know that this is not factorable?
No,
Yeah? Okay, so then I'm going to erase this one right here because I know you have plenty of time to copy all of that stuff. Hush, hush. So then, let's go ahead and do this again. Same thing, I'm going to start with the xy. Oops, yeah, xy. And then I have negative 15x. And then I got negative 4y. And then I have negative 60. And then I create my box. So then now I'm going to go ahead and change colors. Now I'm going to be standing right here. What do I have in common? xy and negative 4y. Y. Okay. So now I'm standing here. What do I have in common now?
15. Negative.
Negative 15 is what I have in common, right? This one's obvious, and this one is the same as negative 15 times 4. Okay. Now I'm standing here. What do I see in common? X. Now I'm standing here. What do I see in common? Really? This is negative 4 and this is what? Positive 4. So what do we have in common?
Nothing.
Yeah, we can't really pick anything because they're not the same. You cannot put 4. You know why? Because, yeah, you do have 4 in common, but then where's this negative going to be? 4 times y is positive 4y, but your answer here says negative 4y, right? That's why this is not it. And we cannot factor this. Okay? All right?
Yes, Miss Choi.
Okay, so now what I want you to do is, I want you to go ahead and just simply factor, okay? let's just practice factoring these, okay? And I have two questions right here. Right here. One here, and then I have another one right there. You see that? Shh. Hush. Okay, ready? Go. You know what? Let's be honest. This is the first time I'm teaching using the box method. And so I'm going to show you the other way that I used to teach all the time. Okay, and this is how you do it the way that I used to do it before. Okay, so let me just rewrite the question so it's bigger. And then, like, you guys can decide which method you like better. Okay? So this method is very simple. You group the two numbers together, okay? And then you look. For 2x cubed and negative 8x squared, what do you have in common? Well, you can divide both by 2, and then you can divide both by x squared. So you pull that out. And then you open up a smaller parentheses. And so 2x cubed divided by 2x squared would be what? If you pull that out, you'll have 1x left, right? What is negative 8x squared divided by 2x squared?
Negative 4.
Yeah, that's what you have left on that side. Now let's take a look over here, okay? So we have negative 3x plus 12. What can we pull out from negative 3x and plus 12?
3.
Negative 3. So we're going to pull it out and open up parentheses. Negative 3x divided by negative 3 is x. 12 divided by negative 3 is? Negative 4. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and look at this one. And then we're going to look at this one. Okay? These are two separate terms, right? So then what do you see in common between this red and that red? Yeah, the x minus 4. So we're going to pull out the x minus 4. So if I divide this whole red thing by x minus 4, what am I going to have left? If I pull out the x minus 4? Yeah, I'm going to have 2x squared. So I put the 2x squared. What about on this side of the red? If I pull out the x minus 4, what would I have left? Minus 3 and you're done. Okay? So was this easier for you? No? Is it the same? Okay. So then no matter what method you use, I just showed you how to do two ways, okay? So you can pick whatever method makes you feel comfortable. I used to teach it this way, but my students told me that they didn't get it. And so today I introduce to you the box method, and I was hoping that would be easier for you. Okay, so now let's take a look at this next question. For this next question, do you want me to use this method or do you want me to use the box method? Okay, so let's try the box method then, okay? So for this one right here, let me use a different color so you can differentiate between the two. So I'm going to go ahead and write 2a, and then I'm going to put negative 2b, and then I'm going to put xa, and then I'm going to put negative xb. And then I'm going to go ahead and create a box. And then now I'm standing up here. So what do I see in common from 2a and xa? A. So when you see something in common, you got to make sure you highlight it because that means that you already pulled it out so you can't use it anymore, okay? So over here, I'm standing on top. What do I see in common? A B, right? So I'm going to go ahead and circle that and pull it out. So now I'm standing right here. What do I see in common, guys? 2a and negative 2b. What do I see in common? Oh, yeah, the 2. But then you know what that does? I just left out the negative, didn't I? So I forgot over here, when I pulled out the b, I should have also pulled out the negative because that's right here too, right? So now when I'm standing here, what do I see on both sides? X. And so my answer is going to be 2 plus x, or x plus 2 is the same thing, times a minus b. Okay?
And that's the answer?
Yes, and that's the answer. So whether you use the box method, which is this one, or the other method, is really up to you as long as you can get to the correct answer. Okay?
I need the top one easier.
Okay, so here goes our last question for today that we're going to be learning. This one I'm going to be doing with you, and then I want you to work on this on your own, okay? So this is a very easy question. We have two parentheses and they're connected by a minus. So the first thing we have to do is open everything up. And the way we do that is by distributing the negative sign
You're not recording, Miss Troy?
to every single one.
Oh, Miss Troy,
Okay?
you're recording.
So then, let's go, alright? So there you go. We have negative 8x squared. And then we have negative 6x minus 2. The negative times the negative is a positive 5x squared. The negative times a positive is a negative x. And then the negative times the negative is positive 9. And now from this point on, what we want to do is combine like terms. Okay? So now let's take a look. Now you have to remember it has to be the same letter and same exponent. Okay? So we have x squared and x squared. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put x squared and then I'm going to go negative 8 plus positive 5, which is going to give me negative 3. Then I'm going to go ahead and look for my next like term, which is going to be x and x. And so I just write the x and then I look at the number at the front, which is what? Negative 6 minus 1. And that's going to be negative 7. Finally, I'm going to look at the two numbers that are all by themselves, which is negative 2 and positive 9. And that's going to give me positive 7. Okay? So that's it for today. I want you to go ahead and work on 16B. Okay? Ready? Go.